Hi.
Hi.
How's your past 15 days been or so?
They've been fine.
Yeah?
Just working home, watching things. The usual.
Sure. Totally the usual. I didn't do my normal recap writing, so we'll see how this goes.
You didn't take notes?
I took notes, but then I usually go and rewrite my notes to condense it. And
You had an extra day.
I know, but I just didn't feel like doing it. My notes are fine. They go in chronological order. Ooh.
Yeah.
Finn, why are you whining? We're going to have a guest host today.
What?
We're going to have a guest host today. His name's Finnegan. He's being very needy.
Aren't cats always needy?
He's being especially needy. The day after the weekend when Nick goes back to work, he usually freaks out. Wants to be all up in me.
But wouldn't that have been yesterday?
No, Nick has Sundays and Mondays off.
Oh.
Yeah. You gonna talk? You gonna meow? Hi. Anywho, shall we begin our recap of the first 6 episodes of season 2?
Don't you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, hello. My name's Callie, and welcome to Cardboard Empire TV edition.
And I'm Jen.
Just Jen.
Just Jen.
With 2 ends
or 1 end. I don't need anything
end.
else. It doesn't matter.
Depends on the day.
I've had it done both ways.
Well, you used to go by 2 ends. There was a time in your life.
A brief moment of my life.
Yeah. Also, when I like to be called Cal, but now I hate it.
What was that?
I said, or like when I used to be called Cal, but now I hate it. What?
I said it's doing the thing where it's like a sped up monster voice. And then I know it's funny when I go and edit this and it's you talking normally and me being all, what?
Just laugh.
But I promise you it's a real thing that happens. And since you've gotten a microphone, I think that means it's the computer.
Yeah, I'm going to try to update it all this week. Why are you staring at me like that, child? Okay. Anywho, first 6 episodes of season 2.
Yes, we did that.
We have a baby now.
And I like how my note quality just seriously decreases throughout the episodes. I realized I didn't even, because I normally label them like this was episode 1, 2, but I realized I got to 5 and then I never made a new label for 6.
Oh no.
So my 5 and 6 notes are combined and I didn't really pay attention.
It was kind of like the last few episodes of season 1 where we didn't need this to be 6 episodes.
Yeah, they all combined.
Yeah.
I think it was all over one day or 2 days.
Exactly. Yeah. And then also with it being a new season, I expected a bigger time jump, but it was really only 2 months because they said the baby was 10 weeks old.
Yeah.
So I had expected it to be the next school year, forgetting about the whole summer thing, but
I kind of like that, though. It's nice seeing what they do over the summer.
Right.
Well, episode 1 was called The Big One.
Oh.
Amy struggles to balance her life as a new mom.
Well, yes, she does.
It starts out with the tomato soup scene, which for some reason has always stuck with me.
Yeah.
It's one of the one things I remember from the show.
So they start at the Jurgens, well, Anna and Amy's house now. And Amy is stressfully making tomato soup, and she makes it with water.
Yeah. It's a can of Campbell's.
Yeah, and her sister walks in and is like, why is this place a mess? And is also like, Mom makes that with milk.
And then it just begins this series of episodes of angry Amy. She's just always yelling at someone in her scenes.
And nothing is ever her fault.
I know.
Ever. And
she gets to be very manipulative over these episodes.
She is. I think I wrote that Amy's a brat at least like 17 times. And
sometimes the anger was necessary, because Ben is also a major ass this season.
Oh my god.
And that's when I was like, go Amy.
So,
but yeah, the rest of it, it's uncalled for.
One of her first bratty moments is when her mom gets home from work and her mom asks why she only made soup for dinner and like nothing with it. And Amy basically tells her mom, because you're fat.
Yeah, your metabolism slows down as you age.
And her mom is only 37. And
I mean, your metabolism starts slowing in your 20s. We all know that.
Mine slowed at like 7. And but then Anne, is obviously upset, but Amy notices that Anne has a familiar looking brown paper bag from the drugstore.
Yeah.
And it turns out it was a pregnancy test.
Mom is pregnant and she doesn't know who the dad is.
Yeah. And the one thing I thought was funny was that Amy, who's been pregnant once at the age of 15, noticed her mom's pregnancy symptoms before Anne, who's had 2 children and raised 2 children, noticed her own daughter's pregnancy symptoms.
Well, Anne maybe was in denial.
Yeah. Okay, I have to let
she was also very busy.
I have to let this cat out. He's getting annoying. Come on. Come on. Shit. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Oh. Thank you. Okay.
I said so many mean things about you.
That's okay. He was biting my, cables, and he was going to start meowing really loud. We didn't need that.
Well, there's lots of cat meows on our podcast.
Oh, he, howls for, 20 minutes straight.
Yeah, so does Frank.
Yeah. But, so yeah. And then we kind of cut over to George and Ashley's house where Mimsy's been staying. Because Mimsy likes George more.
Mimsy's a prude.
And does she have a 20-year-old boyfriend, or is that just the home health aide?
I think he is younger. I don't know how much younger he is. But I wrote Mimsy's a prude because, they start talking about Amy and Anne. And they're like, they just are letting everything hang out. She's going to get pregnant again, dressing like that.
Because they both have their boobies. Because, pre-pregnancy or pregnancy and post-pregnancy. Did Taylor just bring you a drink?
No.
Oh, I thought
this is what I was making.
Oh.
No, I keep it over on my bookshelf so it doesn't make a noise when I set it down on the table.
Was that a little, don't set your drink down on the table? Now that I'm using a table?
No, I couldn't hear yours, but I know mine picks it up. I've noticed in editing.
Yeah. Okay. But we still have George is talking to Mimsy about Anne's weight gain, and he goes, she's pregnant. I've seen her pregnant twice. Anne's pregnant.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
And I also wanted to comment on Ashley's necklaces. The long necklaces. I like watching this show and seeing our high school fashion again and laugh at it.
I really did love a good long necklace. With a little chain on the bottom, layered.
Mm-hmm.
But they were
yeah.
you buy them already layered. Like they're all connected.
Yeah.
To be lazy instead of buying a whole bunch of single ones.
Yeah, I don't know how to put things together and make them look nice.
Not at all. I remember I had this one shirt for Maurice's, and I wore it a lot freshman year of college. It was my party shirt. But in high school, I wore it with like a colored tank top underneath, and it kind of was like low shouldered, but not really. And it had some like flower pattern on it and like bedazzled. And then I had a matching long necklace that had like the same type of flower on it with like dangles from the flower, and it was a good look. With some
Sounds
fake
very
Uggs.
Maurice's, and Maurice's is very 2000s.
With some fake Uggs.
Yeah, and your flare jeans.
Yes. All right. Anywho. Then we
go to Ben.
Yeah, and Leo has a girlfriend who is a little familiar looking from season 1.
It's Betty.
Betty the hooker. And
God, that was making me so mad. Like by the end of these 6 episodes, I was like, can we just stop with the Betty's a hooker thing?
Yeah, sex worker. Escort. But what's Ben's friend's name again?
Henry. And Alice.
Yeah. Henry and Ben are talking about Betty's large bosom. And that's all I got. She has big boobies, is what I wrote. And Henry's jealous that Ben might have a stepmom with big boobies. That's all I got from that.
Yeah, my note was just Ben doesn't like his dad's girlfriend.
Yeah. So Ben's being whiny.
And it's Betty.
Yes. And then we go over to Adrian's house, and her parents are still dating, and they've been talking about moving in because her dad's wants to be there, and they're going to move in together, possibly.
They're going to have family fucking fun time.
Fuck yeah. And then while we're at Adrian, Ricky calls her. He wants to have a little visit post seeing his son.
But he can't because Dad's home.
Yeah, Dad's home now. And this kind of starts Ricky's idea process that he wants his own place.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. And then we go over to Grace's house, and
ooh, she's getting ready to fuck.
Yeah, she is calling Adrian because she's telling her, like, Jack and I are going to have sex tonight. I'm ready. I'm mature. We're ready. And Adrian is like, you sure that's a good idea?
I know. Adrian talking someone out of sex.
Yeah.
Who'd have thunk it?
I know. But Grace is adamant that her and Jack are going to have sex.
Yeah.
And then I wrote, John visits the baby, but I think I meant Ricky visits John.
Yes, and he brings steak and potatoes.
Yes, and Anna's happy.
I must have been hungry when writing this because then I wrote yum.
That does sound really good. Oh, and then I have Amy's a brat too because
Amy's angry at Ricky and Mom
for bringing in potatoes,
and she refuses to eat the steak.
And I'm like, bitch, more for me.
I know. And I like the mom had a quote, and she's like, Amy, soup is not enough.
It's true. Well, especially tomato soup because there's nothing to it. Like, you need saltines, you need a grilled cheese. Oh, I think I'm going to make tomato soup for dinner.
That's one of my go-to meals. I have it at least once a week.
We do have good cottage white bread.
Fancy.
Yeah.
I have my whole wheat 15 grain.
So this is going to sound gross, but like our garbage was pretty empty. Nick threw away our basically full loaf of bread because Bean got the counter or cupboard open, grabbed it, and ate some of it. And Nick threw away the whole loaf of bread. And so I took it out of the garbage.
You don't do that.
Yeah, so I took it out of the garbage. I was like, what are you doing? I didn't tell him.
It's still in his bag. It's fine.
Yeah, when it was only like the top crust of some of the pieces of bread. It's our cat. It's fine. He licks my water bottle.
Cats eat our food all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, you like want the cat to lick you after he licked his butt. Like, you're fine. So I never told him I took the loaf of bread out of the garbage. I just took it out and put it back in the cupboard. No.
Well, let's hope he doesn't listen.
Well, I mean, it's going to be in there, and I'm going to make grilled cheese tonight. Anywho. Then we have Adrian goes and cock blocks Jack and Grace.
Well, first, Ricky finds out that Anna's pregnant too.
Oh, well, yeah. And
he knows now too.
Yeah.
Just a little detail, but we got to keep track of who knows what secrets because these episodes are full of secrets.
It's too much. I'm probably going to go out of order at some point. Yeah, and then we have
I know Adrian. You always do, and I always try to correct you.
Adrian cockblocks.
You get carried away.
Adrian cockblocks Jack and Grace. They're showing up at Grace's house, and then she starts yelling.
Leaves.
Yeah, I said Adrian starts yelling at them, and then Jack leaves. And
because he thinks, well, he's mad that Grace has been telling people that they're going to have sex, and then once Adrian barges in, he's actually thinking, and he's like, I think this is the wrong time to do it.
Yeah.
And then Grace just gets pissed.
Yeah. And then we go back to George and Ashley, who they never cook, so they're always going out to eat.
But first, there was a line from Grace.
What?
That she says she can be Christian and have sex before marriage because she's committed to marrying Jack, and that's why she can have sex with him. And then Adrian says, you are not a good example to Christian girls. And Grace is like, I'm not an example. I'm a teenage girl. And God is okay with me having sex because I love Jack, and God is love, and sex is love. So then God's okay with sex.
Well, it's a shame she doesn't remember her own damn soapbox speech. But that's foreshadowing.
And then eventually I think Adrian comes back with, the only reason you're doing this is to keep Jack from sleeping with other girls.
Yeah, basically.
And that's when Grace is like, no.
And then we get to George and Ashley don't cook
dinner. And we
get
to the restaurant.
And they see Leo and Betty out at dinner as well. And so they stop and say hi because George wants to see the boobs. And
yes,
they talk about the baby, and they say the name John. And Betty goes, John where? Because, she's a sex worker. And she has
hooker jokes.
And anywho, so George and Ashley are eating dinner, and David, Anne's boyfriend, comes in and has a seat at the bar.
Ew, David.
And George decides to go and join David for a drink and tells David that his girlfriend is pregnant. And it couldn't be George's because George had a vasectomy.
Yes.
And yeah.
Allegedly.
Yes. And then we flash over to Ashley or Amy's house, and
do you want to hear the notes I wrote for this scene?
Sure.
It's Ben, fuck off about Ricky and Amy's room. Ben, fuck off about Ricky and steaks. Ben, fuck off about Ricky. Go Amy yelling at Ben. Ben, fuck off about Amy's boobs. Ben, fuck off about sex. Then awkward kiss.
Well, there we go. But no, so we have Ben apparently goes by every night to say goodnight, and Alice is like, why? Because Ricky's there? And yep, that's true.
Exactly.
And Ben comes over, and Ricky's there and says he hates Ricky being there in her room, and Ben is crazy is what I wrote. And then I have Ben wants to have sex. And while Ben is offering or wants to have sex, Ricky offers to stay over. And there's that. And then I have David drunk calls Anne. Yes. And asks if she's pregnant, and Anne's trying to deflect by saying, you're drunk, we'll talk about this later, like mature adults. And yeah. Then
I think we end up at the airport.
We do end up at the airport, and
which the first thing I noticed, which I don't know if you noticed, but the way their car is parked is perfectly taking up two spots. The line is right down the middle of their car.
Well, they're also at a private airport in a private car.
I know, but still.
Yeah. So Kathleen and Tom are sending Grace's dad off because I guess he's going to go help people in third world countries. And I really liked Tom's commentary about why are they taking a private plane to a third world country. Makes perfect sense, too. I get it, Tom.
Yeah.
But Kathleen calls Grace and is like, hey, Dad's about to take off. Are you sure you don't want to talk to him? To say you love him, say goodbye, because they're still in their fight about Jack and sex.
Yeah.
Also, my cat is sleeping like a perfect fucking angel on my bed, and he has the most adorable mouth. Hi, Bean, you perfect angel.
My cats have left me. Then I think we go back to Grace.
Yes, and she says, I don't need to call Dad. I hate him, blah, blah, blah. And Jack is over, and she's setting up the room with candles and rose petals, and they have sex.
Yes.
And she apparently said it was really great sex.
Mind-blowing.
I do not recall losing my virginity to be really great and or mind-blowing.
Well, maybe you should have done it with Jack.
He did have experience. I did lose my virginity to a virgin, so that was probably my problem.
And my partner also wasn't a virgin, and it also wasn't stellar.
So they have sex, and she said it was mind-blowing, and he's like, did it hurt? And she's like, no, it started to be really good, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and then I think she said something about, like...
It's the whole cringy speech.
Yeah, and then Jack said Grace was aggressive.
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't know you could be so aggressive. She tells him she feels set free.
This is just one of those scenes
and Jack
that is so cringy that I have to watch it through my fingers because I'm just like,
and Jack said, let's get married as soon as we're of legal age because I want to marry a woman who loves sex this much.
Yeah. And then we go over to Adrian's house.
Well, before that speech, Anne confronts George about George telling David she's pregnant. And George is really nice to Anne. And that's a lot that I see of George this first 6 episodes is he's had a good growth.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get back over to Adrian's house.
And Ricky and Adrian's dad have a chat.
Yeah, I didn't write anything about that because I think I probably started zoning out.
That's okay, I did. Adrian's dad says to Ricky, so you're not going to have sex tonight? In just a super condescending way.
Yeah.
And then they kind of get in a little fight, and Ricky calls out the dad, and he says, I've known her longer than you. I know her better than you. Yeah.
Wow. I like it.
Yeah. And then Adrian's dad counters with, well, her mom never told me when she was born and she didn't want anything to do with me. I offered to marry her. And Ricky's like, well, there's your problem, dude. Women don't want to be offered to be married. They want to be like treasured and respected and loved. Yeah. And then he leaves, and then Adrian walks out and confronts her dad. And she says something like, you're never going to stop thinking about that for the rest of the night or something.
Also, I recall when Adrian met Ruben, he said that her mom and him had an agreement that Adrian wouldn't know anything about him. So you're not great, dude.
No.
And then we
back over to Ben.
Do we? I thought we were done with that.
Ben's dad. Ben's dad goes into Ben's room and is like, I love you and I love Betty and things are getting serious. She's going to stay for breakfast. And then he asks Ben for condoms.
All right. So then we get to kind of the finale of this episode of Grace's mom and Tom arrive home, and Jack is still there. Jack is leaving, but Kathleen and Tom are crying, and turns out the plane crashed. Marshall.
But first, Jack thinks it's because they know.
Oh, yeah. He's like, don't worry. We were safe. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then Kathleen's like, no, that he's dead. Marshall's dead. And then Grace comes down the stairs and sees her mom crying. And she's like, don't worry, Mom. I'm okay. It was really great. Like,
I've been set free.
Yeah. And then she learns that her dad is dead. And Tom yells that Grace killed him. Yeah, so that sucks.
Yeah.
But then we kind of go over to Amy's house, and George had stayed the night and took care of John and cleaned the house, and Amy comes downstairs and George makes a comment about Amy's boobs being out. Mm-hmm. And so there's that. And then we have everyone learning about Grace's dad. And the one line that I wrote that was kind of sad was that Tom tells Kathleen that it's okay, Dad is playing golf with Jesus. That's how it ends. From what I have.
There was also back at Amy's house when the dad is cleaning and taking care of the baby, Ashley asks him why.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says, because we're family and we support each other's mistakes.
Oh.
And I thought that was nice.
So much growth.
Or about why, I think Ashley asked him why aren't you mad at Mom for being pregnant with another man's baby or something? Yeah. And why she's still doing all these nice things for them.
Yeah. George is great.
Sometimes. He's a little obsessed with his daughter's boobs.
Yeah, that's true. But we'll go to episode 2 now, since we're 30 minutes in.
What's done is done. Grace thinks her actions are to blame for her dad's death.
Yeah, so this episode is a lot of Grace crying and blaming herself. She thinks because she had sex, Marshall had to die.
A lot of everyone crying.
Yeah, there was a lot. So it was basically this whole episode, everyone's dealing with Marshall's death, and Grace isn't coming out of bed. She's crying. And then we see Grace's mom, Kathleen, calls George.
Mm-hmm.
And she asks George for a favor, which we later learn is that she wants George to go and get Marshall's body. Yes. And ID it, which is kind of weird, but kind of nice that he agrees to do it.
Yeah. And then Adrian comes over.
Yeah. But she wants nothing of that.
Hey guys, Editor Jen here. At this point in the recording, my computer decided to restart. So, sorry, but you're going to have to deal with that. We pick it up, but it may be confusing.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. 1 second.
We're going.
I know. I'm doing 20 things at once.
Oh, God. I quit. Show business. Told me this would be easy. Herself, everyone's crying. Kathleen calls George and asks him to identify the body.
Yeah, and then Adrian came over to Grace's house.
Yes.
To talk to her. And Tom immediately blames Adrian for their dad dying because Adrian made sex look fun and Grace had sex because of that. And that's what killed their dad. And then Adrian goes and talks with Grace, and Grace is blaming herself, and then she also blames Adrian.
Yeah.
And Adrian just leaves defeated.
Yeah. And then we get to school. Ben is staring at Amy's boobs and insults her.
Ben is obsessed with boobs.
Do you know what she said? She said that was insulting.
Just typical Ben stuff. I don't.
Yeah, I just wrote he
I didn't
insults
write it down.
her. And
I just wrote Ben
then
in all capital letters, exclamation point.
and then Amy is talking about how she wants to go over and visit Grace to pay her respects because Grace has been so nice. But she can't because she has to work and Ricky has to work. And so everyone is offering to babysit John, like her two annoying friends and Ben. And Amy will not let Ben babysit because Ben
For good reason.
doesn't know how
Ben
to
is-
babysit.
No.
Has never changed a diaper. Plus, if you remember, during the birth, the baby cried when Ben was holding him.
Yeah.
And yeah, so there's that. Amy's like, no, you can't babysit him. And then we show Jack. And Jack thinks he's guilty.
There was also at some point of Adrian being mean to Amy.
Well, I think it's kind of around the time where, like, Adrian's, like,
Yeah,
telling
it's
everyone.
all in that same moment.
Everyone's trying to be like, we're all going to go visit Grace. Grace needs us, blah, blah. And Adrian's basically like, why would you show up there? She doesn't want to see anyone.
You guys weren't her friends. And yeah, she keeps saying, you guys weren't her friends.
Yeah, and then we showed Jack, and Jack thinks he's guilty.
I just wrote Jack and Ricky's weird convo.
Yeah, and I think Jack had asked Ricky to go see Grace because it would make her feel better about having sex.
Maybe. And then Ricky just says, that's why I never sleep with virgins.
Yeah. And then he goes,
okay.
And then Jack goes, well, Amy was a virgin. He's like, exactly.
Yeah.
But then I wrote, Kathleen wants George to get the body. George is great. And then I have
Out of context, that's a very weird sentence.
And then I have David brings Anne flowers and offers to marry her.
Yeah.
Because we know all learned that every woman loves to be offered to be married.
Yeah, it's just like season 2 is a repeat of season 1, except it's Amy's mom that's pregnant, but she's doing all the same shit. Yeah,
and then we have all the things that we'll see where everyone's like to George, well, you're Ricky in this situation, you're Ben in this situation.
Yep.
And
Kathleen tries to talk to Grace, tries to tell her,
I said, it's not Kathleen, your fault. Real talks Grace. And then
Ben and Ricky and their constant pissing contests. I think they're at work.
I think I didn't write about a whole bunch of stuff because my next line was Grace and Ricky fight about funeral. So I think I hated this whole entire episode and I skipped to the ending.
All right. Well, we pan to Ricky and Ben at work. And I just kind of wrote their pissing contest is getting old because they both are just constantly fighting about Amy and the baby, and that Ben is constantly jealous of Ricky. Ricky says things to instigate Ben.
Yeah.
Just like, guys, just stop.
I think Ricky knows that he's sabotaging Ben without knowing that he's sabotaging Ben, which I think is great.
I don't even think he's sabotaging Ben. Like, Ben wasn't even a person to Ricky when Ricky and Amy hooked up.
Yeah. But
and
I mean,
it's not... Well, I guess it is kind of his fault that Amy got pregnant, but...
Yeah, but I mean, like, he always tells him, like, oh, no, you should babysit tonight, or, like, oh, yeah, you guys should get married, and, like, I think, without knowing what he's doing, he's setting himself up to be the good guy. But, yeah, so at work, Ricky basically tells Ben, like, you need to be the man. You show her who's the man, and blah, blah, blah. And you go over there and be like, I am babysitting.
Yeah, I don't know. And then
we have Aunt. So
Leo and Betty get engaged next.
Yeah.
They're on because Ben eventually does go and babysits John. And he calls his dad for help. Yeah. So then Leo and Betty are supposed to be going out to dinner, but they go over to Amy's house to help Ben. And it's in the car that Leo proposes to Betty.
Also have Ben asked Ricky for sex help. Was that during the pissing match?
Yeah. Yeah, because they made a deal. Ricky would help Ben babysit.
Oh, yeah.
Or no.
Ben would help Ricky if Ricky will help.
Yeah, but I don't remember what Ricky needed Ben's help with.
Ben will let Ricky have the day of the funeral off.
Oh.
And that if Ricky will help Ben get laid.
That's in the next episode. Yeah. Because the funeral's the next episode.
Oh, well, Ricky must have called Grace and said you're going to the funeral or something. As to why I have Ricky and Grace fight about funeral.
It is the last thing that happens in the next episode is they fight in the car.
Yeah, but I think Ricky calls Grace. Because Jack had told him to call her. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't remember.
And then, but then we have, Ben shows up to babysit. Amy throws a tantrum and tells Amy, guess what? You're going to want him to babysit at some point. And so he does get to babysit, and Anne and Amy go over to Grace and Kathleen's house with the cheese platter.
And they see the massage.
After, but first we have Amy goes up and
Tom yelling at Grace.
Yeah, well that, and then we have Amy goes up and talks to Grace, and Grace basically tells Amy that her baby
was a mistake.
Yeah. And so Grace is basically like, you had sex and you got pregnant, and I had sex and my dad died.
Yeah.
But then we have Anne's there and sees Kathleen and George being close, and yeah.
Yeah, and then we go back over to Ben.
So Betty and Leo are helping watch the baby because Ben sucks, and Ben goes over to Ashley and George's house to ask for diapers, and the diapers are under the bed. And Amy comes home during that time to find Ben not there. They get in a fight. And then it turns out into him saying that he wants to have sex, that he's going to get a hooker. And they awkwardly make out. And then she's like, making out with you is fun, but I'm not having sex for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we found out that George wasn't fixed.
Oh, yeah. How?
Because Ashley confronts him. And she's like, I know what your face looks like when you're lying, Dad, and you're making that face right now. And then it's never said out loud, but it's heavily implied. We know now, yeah.
Yeah, and then we go over to Ricky and Adrian, and they're having car sex. And then they talk about Grace having sex. And then Ruben catches them, and Ruben wants to have another chat with Ricky. And they basically say, we're going to have rules if you're going to be sleeping with my daughter.
Yep. My voice squeaked.
Yeah. And then we also learn when Adrian's talking to Ruben that he's like, we're going to have rules. And Adrian does not drink or do drugs. She just has sex.
Because she'd rather spend her money on clothes.
Yes. And she's a good girl. And then we have Ruben saying they're going to buy a house.
Oh, yeah.
And so that makes Adrian happy that she's going to have a real house. But then we go over to Jack visiting Grace, and Grace won't give him the time of day, won't look at him.
Burping.
I hiccuped. Jack visits Grace, she won't look at him, won't let him touch him, says she doesn't love him. And then Jack breaks down and drinks some Heisler beer at the church.
It's such a... I know it's supposed to be a serious, sad scene, but it's just so dumb in this show.
I know. Also, why do they always have Heisler beer? Is it a real beer? All team shows and stuff always drink Heisler beer.
Maybe it's just...
a cheap beer?
Or a show business beer, they already pre-make the cans, so it's
Yeah, because I've seen it in other things.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways, like we mentioned, episode 3 is the funeral episode. It's called Par for the Course. Ricky intervenes when Grace isolates herself from her friends and family.
Fucking Grace. I mean, losing your dad would suck. Like, I can't not say that, but just fucking Grace. Gets so
She's
irritated.
not handling things very well.
Which, like, I can't imagine losing your dad at 15, especially when you're like, you guys had just had a fight. It would probably suck. I mean, I wouldn't know, but yeah. So then we have Jack visiting Grace again.
And I just wrote Grace yelling at Jack again.
And he talks to Tom. Tom is mad at Jack. Grace still blames Jack. Grace said she's not going to the funeral and says she hates herself.
Yes.
And then we spin over to the other dramatic teenager. And Amy is...
She doesn't trust him.
Amy is losing control. And I could feel this because I'm a control freak. And when you're not in control, like, you feel like you're spinning out. And that's also how I felt watching 13 Reasons Why. Because Clay's a control freak and he was spinning out. It just made me crazy too. Anywho. Amy's freaking out because she wants to go to the funeral because it's apparently the equivalent of the fucking prom. And everyone's like, you have a baby. You have to take care of your baby. You have to go to work.
I do have something to say about the popularity of the funeral, but I'll wait till the end because that's when it's relevant.
Yeah. And so it's basically all over school that the funeral is happening. Are you going to the funeral? What are you going to wear to the funeral?
I do like, if we can step back a minute to back when Amy's having her freak out at home and everyone's telling her, you can't go because you have to work and take care of your baby. And Amy says, I'm tired of working. I just burst out laughing. I was like,
girl, you worked for like 2 days. Also, her work is only after school. Daycares are only open till like 6. So say she gets there at 4. She works for 2 hours. Again, I'm not a parent. I'm not a new mom. I will never say that I know what they're going through. But girl works for 2 hours. And it's a church daycare. I can't imagine. There's a lot going on.
I just also laughed about it because I was like, oh, you're just getting started, honey.
Yeah.
So many more years of work ahead of you.
And so, yeah, so we're at the school. Everyone's asking about the funeral. And then we get Ben is talking to the counselor, and he refers to himself as a new parent.
Is this when he's going to talk about sex?
No. I think he visits the counselor. The counselor's like, how are things going? And he's like, well, we're new parents. You're not a parent, Ben. Nothing about
Okay, I was just wondering if this was before or after all the Adrian stuff.
Before. This is before the hug.
Okay.
And yeah, it's like a little just glimpse. It's not the final counselor scene. But no, he refers to himself as a new parent. And I'm like, bro, you haven't even had sex.
Yeah.
You're not a parent.
Yeah. And he's probably not
He's not even
doing much.
He's not even a step parent.
No.
He's like a second cousin. And yeah. So then I have Amy and George talk about divorce. Maybe I meant Anne and George talk about divorce. Oh yeah, that's an Anne. So that's when they were kind of talking about...
Yeah, my next notes are just all at school.
So I have Anne and George talk about the divorce a little bit, and because she, had that offer of marriage, so she brings up to George like, hey, we haven't really talked about this in a while. We need to get papers going. And then he's like, well, I thought like you could just have the house. And she's like, that's nice, but like, is there other money around? And then he's like, no, like, we split the kids 50-50. I get Ashley, you get Amy, you get the house. Like, stuff like that. And he mentioned that to get the house, he had to take a second mortgage on the store. And that there's no money. And then we have back at school, people are taking bets on Grace going to the funeral.
Yes, and everyone's blaming Adrian. Yeah.
And so Adrian's pissed about people going to the funeral, people taking bets about the funeral. Adrian's pissed about Jack is being a jerk and blames Adrian and calls her a slut. And
And then
then
Ricky
Adrian.
says he's not going to go to the funeral with Adrian.
Yeah, and then Ben sees Adrian breaking down. So Ben hugs Adrian, Amy sees, and it's kind of the equivalent to when Ricky hugged Amy at the end of the season. And now they're all fighting.
Got another hug gate.
Yeah, the hug heard around the world. Amy accuses him of being a flirt, and then she's wearing slippers.
Yes, because she's pretty tired.
And then I have Lauren and Madison going to the funeral because they fucking suck. And also because Ricky also calls out Amy wearing slippers, but he calls them bedroom slippers, and I just thought that was really weird because bedroom slippers just sounds really weird.
Yeah.
Why are you wearing your bedroom slippers?
Because I fucking want to.
But only in the bedroom.
And then Adrian whips out her hand, slaps Ricky, slaps Ben.
Adrian is slapping everyone.
Yeah, she has had it.
Amy is cranky. She won't let Ricky help any or more than he is because he's offering to come over more. And then Adrian slaps Ricky. Because he says they aren't a couple. And then Adrian slaps Ben for hugging her. And then Ricky threatens Ben if he has sex with Adrian.
And then they go to work.
Well, then we go to Anne and David at work. And
well, sure.
I
think I tend to zone out during the Anne and David scenes.
Anne is mad because David canceled Anne's work meeting that she had gone in early for before her doctor's appointment and all of this.
No, it's because she was only 15 minutes late. Her doctor's appointment ran late, but she was up late preparing for it.
Right. Well, right. And so she's mad because she was up all day preparing and stuff. And she had went in early to set up. The
way you said it was like that. She came in early to work for.
Oh, no. Well, she went in early to set up for the meeting, then went to her doctor's appointment, then came back.
Yeah.
And so she's mad about that. And then we get to work, and Ricky's not working because he gets to go to the funeral, and Leo goes in to help Ben at the store because Ben can't do work. And
he's a dick.
Yeah. And then Leo tells Ben not to have sex because he's not ready. And Ben says, well, Amy's had sex and I haven't. And
then he also calls Betty a gold digger.
Yeah. And then Ben quits. And Leo says,
he quits.
Yeah, and Leo's
throws his apron on the floor.
And Leo's like, well, you can't take my driver home. And he's like, so Ben's like, I'm going to take the bus. And Leo's like, with what fare? And then he's like, I think a walk will suit you.
A long walk.
Yes.
And then Adrian says my favorite line of all time, because I think we go back to her, unless there's any insignificance in between.
I have Adrian crying and Ruben talks to her. And then, I think what you're going to say.
The Christians are all mad at me.
And then I also have everyone wants to be like me.
Yeah. I can't help it. They want to be like me.
And all I could think was Mean Girls. I can't help it that I'm so popular.
Yeah.
And then she's not going to have sex anymore.
And then because of this, because she thinks God is punishing her, I said, this is the everybody cries episode and the everyone thinks God is punishing them episode.
Dear God. Okay, so pause.
And then also Adrian the overreactor.
Pause. Have you watched the new Patton Oswalt stand-up?
No, I don't like him.
Oh, well, he has a really good theory on who Jesus and God really are. And he says it's the equivalent of when you're older and you're talking to someone that you didn't go to high school with and you're bringing up stories and you just refer to all of the douchey guys as Chad.
Yeah.
And he's like, it doesn't really matter because no one really cares who this person is. It could be 17 different people, but they're all just Chad. And he's like, that is who Jesus was. We're thinking back to the medieval times. This guy, Jesus, was just a whole bunch of different guys, but telling the stories back that are you think back in these times where people would just stone you and kill you for no reason. And he's like, you think of Jesus, brought me back to life. He's like, you think this guy fell on the road for being a drunk and somebody was going to stone him to death. But this guy, Jesus, came up and picked him up And he's like, Jesus brought me back to life because I was thinking I was going to die. So basically, Jesus isn't real. And it's just a whole bunch of good guys from back in the day that just have been summed up to Jesus. Just
Good
watch
to
that
know.
clip. So yeah, but that was what I think of, like, everyone, God hates me, Jesus doesn't love me. And it's like, it does. Not to get religious or non-religious. Then I have...
You have to double the recipe on the bottle.
I would like a drink too, Taylor.
Would you like a lemonade fizz?
I would, because all I have left is this Bud Light seltzer, and it was not a good choice in purchasing. I was feeling really anxious at the liquor store because I couldn't find what I wanted to buy, and I had been looking around for a while, and they were only allowing a certain number of people in the store, and I could see the line outside growing, so then I just grabbed the biggest variety pack of seltzer near me and checked out, and it was this Bud Light seltzer. And it's not good at all.
Yeah, we've still been doing curbside pickup, so I'll just like once a month make a big order, get to think about everything I want.
Yeah.
And then I just drive up and they put it in my trunk.
There you go.
But also when we were at...
Can you do curbside pickup with like produce? Because my Target doesn't allow it.
Well, I don't get booze from Target.
I said produce.
I get it. Oh, I don't know.
Oh, were you talking about your liquor store?
I haven't.
Never
Yeah,
mind.
we make the big liquor store order online for curbside pickup. But anyways, what I was going to next was we were at Target at some point, and we must have needed something because I went with Taylor, and I really only go with him if I need something, but I don't remember. Either way, we were there, and I grabbed a bottle of sweet and sour, or not, is it sweet and sour mix? It has to be. The
For
sour
what?
mix. For drinks, a mixer.
Oh, I don't make cocktails.
Okay,
But
well,
I think I know what
grabbed
you're
a bottle
talking about.
of this. Yeah. I grabbed a bottle of that because I was like, oh, this could be fun.
Yeah.
And it has been, because on the back of the bottle, they had a recipe for a lemonade fizz, and it's just equal parts of the mix and vodka or gin, whatever you prefer, and then just a splash of club soda.
I saw a really easy...
I think it's going to be my summer drink.
I saw a really easy margarita recipe that I'm going to do. It's just limeade, tequila, and then agave juice or agave syrup.
That sounds more complicated than just buying a bottle of the mix and adding tequila.
But it's probably... Well, you could just buy the mix that already has tequila in it.
Well, that's really poor quality because you have to have good tequila.
Apparently the 1800 brand makes a really good one.
It's not my favorite.
Compared to like Jose Cuervo. Kirkland.
I still like my Espolon. It's not that expensive and it's really good.
No, I'm talking about pre-made margaritas.
Oh. Well, I don't do that. I just get a bottle of mix from...
Yeah, well, I was saying
Target.
1800. Yeah, I know. 1800 apparently makes a good one. But Kirkland, the Costco brand, they make a pre-made margarita, and it's super high alcohol content, and it's super good, and they have a pink lemonade one. It's so good.
Kirkland surprisingly does make decent booze.
Well, I brought all that champagne for your bachelorette party. They have really good champagne. It's like $5.
Taylor likes their gin, and you can get a handle of that for like $20.
Yeah, and their vodka and tequila are like that too.
They're all decent.
We're doing like a weekend for Kelsey's bachelorette party at an Airbnb in Hudson, and our Stillwater, one of them. It's like a fancy lake house, and it comes with like a pontoon and stuff. It's gonna be great.
Didn't want to just go to Rosie's and use Scott's pontoon?
He doesn't have a pontoon anymore.
Well, I didn't know
it's
that.
a whole weekend, and it's like, but anyway.
Well, yeah, you could park the camper in Rosie's backyard.
But it's BYOB is what I'm trying to get at.
Oh.
And so I have to go buy a whole bunch of booze.
I supplied the booze for my trip.
But
I'm supplied pay for this trip.
No, I supplied the booze for your bachelorette party.
My guests were supplied with booze.
By me.
Well, yeah, because you're the maid of honor.
And I tried to passive aggressive. Hannah was supposed to help me passive aggressively ask for Venmo cash out. So if anybody's listening and you want to help with all the booze that I bought, I know it's been a while, but I'm still poor.
Hannah was pretty drunk the whole weekend, so yeah. I don't know if that was.
And Chelsea was on it too. She was going to help me. I gave Brooke the rest of the booze too. So hey, Brooke, you want to send me a quick Venmo? Just kidding. I did it to myself. I truly did.
You did really over prepare.
Well, and like I knew the gift bags were one thing that like I'll pay for it. I decided to do it, but someone wanted to give me $10. That was cool. I think we're good.
That's your duty as a maid of honor, and I'll have to do it for yours. Unless you elope, and then I don't have to do shit, and that's great for me.
No. We had anywho, we should get back to the season episode 3. We can talk more about my elopement conversation I had on Sunday after this. Where were we?
We were just at Adrian's house.
Yeah, and then also, so now we're back to Amy and Anne. And Anne shows up at the nursery to help Amy work. And Amy has a breakdown. She's like, oh, good, now that you're here, I can go to the funeral. And they get in a fight.
I think I started zoning out on Amy's shit too.
Yeah.
Because it just gets so repetitive and annoying.
So they get in a little tiff, and Amy says, she's having her true breakdown, and she says that John's a punishment because Grace said so. And gives her... Oh, and then she says, basically, and Marshall's dead because Grace liked sex. And Anne laughs, and she's like, well, sex is enjoyable. Like, people do like sex. Like, it can be good. And so there was that. And then they're all good. And then Betty is driving Ben to the funeral. And Betty talks to Ben about Leo. And
will you let me know if you can hear the wind? I shut my window because it's windy out, but it's starting to get warm, so I opened it again just now.
Okay, my window's open, so.
I know, but it's like super windy here today, so you might be able to hear it when it picks up.
Okay. So
we've been having a lot of windstorms.
Because
your mom just texted us.
She did. Funniest family moments from Facebook.
Yeah, on Facebook.
It's not Pinterest. So Betty talks to them and stuff, and then Tom sees Betty and waves at her. And then
just the first of many little Easter eggy clues.
Yeah, and then we go to the funeral, and Ricky shows up and gets in the limo.
Speaking of your windows open, Brooke had her windows open for our last podcast, and I could hear all of the birds the whole time on the podcast. So now I've been hearing your birds too. It'll be funny if you guys can hear that. It's just a little bonus.
Yeah, I don't hear helicopters flying over my apartment every minute, so now I want to hear the birds.
Perk of living next to the biggest hospital in the county is I hear helicopters all the time.
Ooh.
And it's always like, are those for protests or is someone dying?
So at like 2:30 last night, there was a bunch of cops here, and then an ambulance showed up. And I told Nick he needed to go get the scoop while he was smoking, but he didn't because it was 2:30 in the morning. And it was in the complex next to mine, and so I was looking on the Nextdoor app, and no one posted anything about it, so it was kind of sad. Just wanted to know the drama.
Just an old person having a heart attack.
Well, we've also had a lot of people with COVID-19, not in my building, but like the other 4 buildings. We'll get like an email daily saying another person's positive. Anywho, so Ricky shows up to the funeral, sits in the limo with Grace, and gives her some fucking real life chats, and said, "I'm giving you 3 minutes to get out of this limo, or I'm dragging you out myself by any means necessary."
But he also does some real nice talk too. He's like,
yeah,
this is your dad's final wishes. Tom is up there about to read some words he's never wanted to read, and everything is extra hard for him. He has to work twice as hard to do what you can do, and you can't even get out of a car to stand up there next to him.
Yeah, and then, but outside of the car, we see Adrian throwing a tantrum because Ricky's with Grace. Jack says to Ben, I'm happy as long as Grace is okay and not mad that Ricky's in the car. George can smell the beer on Jack and says, if you drink, or tells not to drink alone. And then I have George threatening.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, and then I had George threatens Ben, and I don't know what that was about, but he threatened him. Probably about Amy's boobs.
It was about sex. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you'll respect Amy's wishes or whatever, or otherwise I'll kill you or something. I don't know.
And then I have Ricky in capital letters, exclamation point, heart. So I think that's finally Grace gets out of the car, walks with Grace. They have the funeral.
The weird funeral.
Yeah, so they all went on golf carts to one of the golf
when
holes.
The saints go marching in.
And then they let the ashes out.
Oh, speaking of which, we can finally address my point now about the popularity of the funeral. Because the way everybody was talking, everybody in town was going to be there. Yet we get up there and it's like 12 people and they only have 6 golf carts that are like half empty. I was like, this was supposed to be the event of the season, yet there's nobody here.
Yeah. And then also how they let the ashes out like in one pile in the golf hole. And then the ashes flew back and hit Grace. And I'm like, I don't think this was well thought out.
I didn't see the gust of wind that blew it, but I was like, I'm pretty sure this is illegal.
Yeah, I was like, I think I've heard in other movies that like letting ashes out on public property is illegal because a lot of people try to do it at Walt Disney World, I think. Yeah. And on cruise ships, and it's pretty illegal. But maybe they got like a city ordinance. I don't know.
It's a weird town, so anything could go.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is going to be a super long podcast this week. But
we're going to
maybe they'll just be less chatting at the end because we got everything out in between.
Well, and also my episode 5 notes are only a quarter of a page, so
yeah, my notes like I said is okay, so for episode 1, like I do this on my notes app.
Yeah.
And I have to like scroll through to get through episode 1. That's how many notes I took for that. We get to episode 5 and 6.
It's nothing.
And well, like I said, I didn't even marker off episode 6, and it's like 10 lines for 2 episodes, I guess.
Because they're all the same thing.
Exactly. And episodes 4, 5, and 6, I just have nothing for.
Yeah, because 4 through 6 is all about Bologna.
Yeah, it's all like one day.
Yeah.
2 days.
So episode 4.
It's called Ciao.
Mm-hmm.
Released July 13th. My anniversary, 2009. 10 years before I got married.
Bean just knocked on the pillow and it landed on his head and it woke him up. And it was really cute. Hi, Beanie baby.
Anyways, Ciao. George and Ashley attempt to help Amy with her hectic schedule. When the fuck did that happen?
When was this the year that you and Taylor met? 2009? Or no, it was 2008.
No. Yeah, we started dating 2008. We met before that.
This was your 1-year anniversary.
Well, our dating anniversary is July 12th.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Anyhow.
But that was a Friday, and I knew people were having work, and I didn't want them to have to take 2 days off of work.
Well, we already did.
So made it Saturday.
We already did take off work to go down to Colorado.
You did, but other people flew in on Friday.
Yeah. Oh my god, this cat's
or
so
drove
cute.
in. Because you had to be there Friday, but guests did not.
Anywho. Okay, so everyone's awake in the Jurgens house at 3 a.m.
Everyone is tired and crabby.
Yeah, so that was
my first line.
And George and Ashley are awake because they went to bed at 7 p.m. and Anne and Amy haven't slept. And then so George decides that he wants to brighten Amy's mood. And he tells it to Ashley and tries to make them bacon and eggs, but then Amy and Anne go back to bed, whatever.
I also had another comment on attire. I was like, yes, it's the headband phase of the show.
Oh, yes. Also,
Last season was swoopy bangs. This season is headbands.
Because she's a mom now. Also, I like now that they have, instead of just...
No. headbands were really big in 2008, 2009.
Also, the
I had
outfit,
like 5 of them.
the outfit that she's wearing,
And
in
I
this
miss
episode-
them. I think it's cute.
My God, stop talking. The outfit that she's wearing in this episode. The outfit that she's
Bring
wearing in this
back
episode is the
bringing
outfit
back all the other fashions.
is the outfit from the PSA at the end. The outfit that she wears in this episode is the outfit from the PSA at the end because they changed the PSA to have everyone talking.
Oh, okay. I never noticed that. I usually skip
Stayteen.org.
before I get that. That's when I click next episode is when that
Hulu
starts.
makes
So I never
you
pay attention.
watch it to get to next
No.
episode. On the TV it does.
Okay, well, I don't watch TV on my TV.
Anywho.
I watch you. Okay, no, this is actually kind of funny. Okay, so the only time when I watch things on my TV is usually when Taylor and I are eating dinner or we're just hanging out. And in those cases, we watch YouTube.
Hulu?
So I watch YouTube on my TV and I watch TV on my computer.
You have a problem.
I don't know. Is that not as funny to me or to other people as it is to me? It's pretty funny.
Anywho, so Leo and Ben have a chat, and Ben is a kiss ass and asks for his job back. And Leo says yes, but that he also has another opportunity for Benjamin. And that his uncle owns a hotel in Bologna and wants Ben to go there for the summer to get culture.
Okay, so this is the episode, where Bologna gets introduced. And I just want to know if I'm the
what Bologna is known for
blowjobs. Am I like the only person in the world that didn't know Bologna was known for its blowjobs?
No, because this it's known for bologna.
The show or bolognese sauce.
Yeah.
But
everyone knows that it's
you
known
feel
for blowjobs.
Yeah.
I know. I had that as a note. Anywho, so he offers him the job for the summer, and that's great. And then we get over to Grace's house, and Tom is making breakfast for Kathleen. And Tom quotes Pocahontas by saying, "All must die. All must die."
That's not Pocahontas.
That's what he says. Like Pocahontas said, "All must die."
Okay. Well, no, I have things to say.
Oh my God.
Okay. So, as I mentioned in my podcast with Brooke, last week I watched the movie Demonic.
It's
on Netflix.
I still need to watch it.
It has
Grace
Ted from Schitt's Creek, and it has Grace from this show.
Yeah.
And in that movie, we learn about a demon, which you could guess from the title. And that demon, it's like catchphrases, "all must die."
Oh, so that's where this quote is from, actually?
It could be from some like folklore or something about demons or lore about folklore.
Grace stole the line from Secret Life of the American Teenager? Was she an executive producer?
I highly doubt it. I don't think this film had producers.
Is it an A24 film?
It is not.
Anywho.
Because this movie also has Scotty from Eurotrip.
Scotty doesn't know that Fiona and me do it in my van every Sunday.
Which ironically is also the actor's name, Scotty. But he's in this
a one-hit wonder,
Yeah, so he's also in this. Well, he wasn't a one-hit wonder. He was in a lot of teen films in the late 2000s. But this film, it came out in 2015. So when I saw it, I was like, is this like the last hurrah from these teen actors? Although it wasn't obviously for Ted because he went on to Schitt's Creek, but Scotty from Eurotrip, Grace from Secret Life. It's like, you guys are trying to get back in the game in 2015, or is this your last hurrah?
Yeah, it's also like how Adrian was in... what's that tire? Life Size 2 as the main character.
God. They made a second movie to that?
Yeah, and it was I was living in this apartment, so it was less than 2 years ago.
What's it on? Do you remember?
Freeform.
Okay, so it's got to be on Hulu maybe.
Yeah. And so Adrian is the main character as a teenager, and this was less than 2 years ago. And it's just too much.
She has to be in her
Well, so her and Selena
late
Gomez
20s,
are
early
friends.
30s.
Yeah, her and Selena Gomez are friends, and Selena Gomez is my age, so 27. So she's definitely
but she's older.
That's what I'm saying. So she's definitely like 30.
Notes.
Yeah, she's definitely at least 30.
Okay, so she was, when did the show come out? 2008, and she was 19. So she's a year older than me.
Yeah, so she's 31. So she was 29 or 28 while making Life Size 2. And it was just kind of like, girl.
I don't know. I've always wondered if I became an actor, I think I could pull off a college student. I don't know about high school. Yeah. I suppose it would depend on the quality of the show, but maybe. I do have somewhat of a baby face.
Okay, anywho. We then Grace is going back to school.
That is literally the line I wrote.
And then I have Ben calls Adrian for advice on how to talk to Amy about Bologna. Is it Bologna? Bologna? Whatever. And then she's like, you know what Bologna is known for?
No. There's stuff before that.
Is this the robe?
No, it's not about the robe, but I guess that did happen too. But the rumors are flying about Ben and Betty, because Ben and Betty were spotted together. So everybody thinks Ben is hooking up with a hooker.
Okay.
And then we get to the call because Ben doesn't want Amy and John to go to Italy, so he calls Adrian.
Yeah, and then I have George and Amy talk about dogs. I don't know. And then
George and Ashley are thinking about getting a dog.
Yeah, and then I have George loves Anne, obviously. And then Grace gets to school and people suck because they're all like, my cat died last year. I know what you're going through. Oh, my dad was in a car accident once. I know what you're going through.
Yeah. My dad almost died.
Yeah.
And then she just has enough and she runs out of school.
Yeah. And then we see Adrian tells Amy about Italy and Ben.
Yep.
And so that's a freak out. But then we see flash to the road.
Yep. Grace runs into George.
She's Grace walking and they talk.
And they have such a sweet moment.
Yeah, Grace is questioning her beliefs about God. And then George confides in Grace about his not having a vasectomy. And then, yeah, that's great. And then we have Ben and
back
Amy.
to school. And I had another
fight.
Another apparel comment.
We're never. This podcast is going to be so long. Oh my god! Okay, we still have 2 episodes.
Okay, well, there are obviously 2 episodes where nothing happens. We've already established that. But Amy's outfit, it was my outfit that I wore. It was the V-neck T-shirt with the cami underneath. The cami underneath, yeah, and the headband. I was like, oh,
and overgrown bangs
that you have to hold back with the headband.
Yeah.
Because you're growing out your emo swoop bangs.
So then Ben and Amy talk about Italy, and Amy's like, I'm going to Italy. And Ben's like, okay. And then Adrian threatens Ricky if he has sex with other people. And then Grace and Jack make up kinda. No more sex and drinking.
Yep.
And then Ricky talks to Ben about Italy and says Ricky says that Ben wants sex, and Ricky tells Ben to stay away from Adrian. And then Betty comes to the butcher shop. And so then Ricky meets Betty. And then we get to the Jurgens' house, and Amy has cleaned the house and makes a real dinner because she wants to suck up. Oh my god.
No, it's because first we're still with Ricky, and he's with Adrian. Really? And he tells Adrian that he doesn't want Adrian to sleep with anybody else either.
That's after this.
Okay, well, it's in my notes before it.
So Amy cleans the house to cook dinner, and she wants to suck up to go to Italy. And then Anne's all happy
because then my next note is Amy doesn't understand life.
Mm-hmm. And then I have, how does everyone know what Bologna is known for? And then I have Ricky and Adrian have sex, and then Ricky says he wants a commitment and that he doesn't want Adrian to sleep with anybody else.
He never says commitment. He never says he wants a commitment. He just says he doesn't want Adrian to sleep with anyone. Because I noticed that.
Specifically Jack and Ben.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, he's not asking for a relationship. He's not asking for a commitment. He's not asking to be boyfriend and girlfriend. He's just asking Adrian not to sleep with anyone. Yeah, anyone else, especially these two.
Okay. And then Adrian calls Grace, and Grace is on Adrian's speed dial to tell her about Ricky wanting a commitment, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And they're friends again. And then I have Amy is mad about Italy and John and wants everyone to watch him for her because she goes and talks to Ashley and George about it, blah, blah, blah. And then
she also
talks to Ricky about it, and Ricky tells Amy to let Ben go to Italy alone.
Yeah, but at this point in the show, is she bringing John to Italy with her?
She's indifferent.
She keeps going back and forth on that.
And then we get to Anne and David are going to eat the dinner that Amy made. And David confronts Anne about her pregnancy because his whole reason for his first divorce was because he was infertile.
Yeah, so this is a miracle baby for him.
Yeah, and he's questioning, I guess his parents are loaded, and is questioning if she's just pretending to be pregnant to get his money, and asked if she would do a prenup and blah, blah, blah. And then through all of that, he proposes like a jackass.
Yes, with a big old ring. Where are these people getting these big old rings from?
Especially so quickly.
Yeah.
And like you just buy a giant ring like that and just like assume it's going to fit.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like going through this process of like talking about getting married and stuff like with my partner, like buying a ring is kind of like it's
something you talk about beforehand because you want to make sure you like it.
Well, right,
and like, you want to make sure, and then you have to talk about budget for it.
Right, I have very large fingers, so I have to get like a 9.5, which isn't like if you get it online, like you can't buy a size 9 ring online. They always stop at 8.
No, yes,
most of the time. Well, it's hard to find, like, unless if you like get it if you make your own ring. Because like when I've looked at like Zales and stuff like that, they always stop at 8.
Don't go to one of those.
Well, I know, but so yeah, it's like a conversation. That's like one of the things.
Don't get a blood diamond. Get a synthetic diamond.
I know. I like Brilliant Earth. But when Nick and I talk about it,
or just get a white sapphire.
But when Nick and I talk about it, like we think he's like, well, I want to be able to, because I've said like I'd be fine with like a few $100 ring like yours and stuff because like I don't want like when Christina was at your engagement dinner at El Moco. And she was talking about like because she has that one that like everyone got like 5 years ago. Sorry,
the gigantic solitaire diamond.
If you're listening, your ring is beautiful. But she says it scratches her, and the stones on the side that rub against her fingers fall out all the time.
Yeah, and I know, like my engagement ring, it was tiny, but it still caught on everything.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
It's like everything. It got in the way of everything.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. Is like,
and I was like, I don't know how people would do this with anything bigger.
Well, and the ones that have stones on the side, like you have one kind of like, does that scratch your finger?
Mine stops. It doesn't go all the way down.
Exactly. And so
it's
like
just on the top.
I've always said I would be fine. I want just like one of those stereotypical just solitaire rings with one stone and the plain band, or I want just like a band like yours that's just all around. Either one, because I'm very plain and simple.
Well, yeah, and I don't like rings.
Well, that's the thing too. Well, right. I never wear them. I forget to wear, like, put earrings in my ear all the time. And like, can't sleep with,
I was like, I'm not a jewelry person, so please do not spend more than like $200 on this.
Well, that's the thing too. Is like, I would think when I'm at home in the summer, I'd probably just wear a band like yours. And then I would only wear like my diamond, like if like I do become a financial advisor and stuff, just for the appealing, like for the appearance that I know what I'm talking about. Like it would truly,
and my job's very physical, so I was like, I don't need anything fancy.
Yeah, mine would literally just be like pure for appearance reasons.
Yeah.
Because I told Nick I found on Etsy they make rings out of recycled skateboard decks.
They make all kinds of things on there.
Yeah, well, I got him the pipes made out of recycled skateboard decks, but he's like, I want a ring, like a skateboard ring. So I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, so season 2, episode 5. You should say the recap while I let Bean out of this room.
Well, I have to pull it up. Season 2, episode 5. Born Free. Released July 20th, 2009. Amy tries to find a way to accompany Ben on his trip.
Do right and left really matter?
Yeah.
On earbuds?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the way they're shaped.
I know, like, my AirPods I do, but, like, just these cheap corded ones.
I have no idea. I've never had cheap headphones.
Yeah, these were, like, ones that, like, Nick got with his phone for free or something.
Well, then they're probably not cheap. They're probably, like, Samsung brand or something.
They're the skull ones.
Oh,
so I think
Skull Candy, those?
I think they came with his gaming ones or something.
Skull Candy does make solid budget headphones.
Yeah. All right. So
anyways, this is when Amy's finding a way to go on the trip with Ben.
Yeah, so I have
and it opens with her learning Italian.
Oh yeah.
Well, she's learning Italian and Ashley comes in and talks to her.
Yeah, and George is basically sending Ashley on a mission to find out if Anna's engaged. Because he is curious because he loves Anne. And from what Amy says, yes and no, like they don't really know.
Yeah, I think she's thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like he proposed, but she hasn't decided. And then
Betty talks to Ben. And Ben
first, because Amy's mom comes in too after that. Ashley leaves, and then Amy's. I guess I could be far out because
I don't know. I literally have no things on this.
Well, I know Anne comes in at some point because Amy's making breakfast. And Anne's like, oh, you didn't make eggs for the both of us? Because I'm hungry. I could go for some eggs. And Amy's like mad at her mom because her mom like keeps talking to her real talk. Like, you can't go to Italy this summer. It's not going to happen. But Amy's mad at her. And then I also had a comment on Amy can't cook for shit because those eggs were burnt to hell.
Yeah.
And then Grace at some point is spreading George's news all about school because apparently she can't keep it to herself.
Yeah. So I first have Betty talks to Ben, LOL.
Don't know what that was about.
I think she was talking about Bologna because Ben wants to go to Italy alone. Oh. And then I have Ricky's talking to his parents about being emancipated. And they're like, is it because you want to have sex? And he's like, I want alone time.
Yeah, because he's 17. He's going to be kicked out of foster system next year anyways. And he's like, I've been basically, an adult since I was a child. I can do this. I want some more space. You guys usually have a bunch of kids around here.
And he wants to open up.
And if you guys leave, then somebody else can take my place. Yeah. I'm an adult. I can take care of myself. I've got a job. I've got a kid.
Yep.
Well, I'm just trying. He said all of that.
I
stuff.
know. Okay, and then
it's not just that he wants alone time, so he's going to emancipate himself.
Grace tells Tom,
"You missed the emancipation part. That is important."
I said he wants to be emancipated.
Oh, I thought you said he wants to be alone.
That was before then.
Whatever. He wants to be emancipated.
Grace tells Tom about George lying about the vasectomy. And then Grace tells Adrian about George, and Tom tells Kathleen about George.
And we know this show, and now the whole town knows.
And Adrian tells Ricky about George, and Ricky says he's getting his own place. Oh, that was after. But then,
because
Lauren and Madison suck. Lauren. Oh yeah, because then they're talking about the vasectomy, so now everyone's gonna know. And then, Lauren, Grace, and Jack start their Dead Parents Club. They all bond over not having... So they're at lunch, and Jack and Grace...
Before that... No, this is like... Ben is talking to, I think, Alice about Italy, and Amy overhears him. Mm-hmm. And Ben let slip that he doesn't really want Amy to go.
Yeah, and Amy's like,
And
well, I'm
Amy over here is
going.
like, yeah.
Yeah, and then so at lunch, Lauren and Madison are
But then
leaving.
Ricky isn't allowing that because he's not allowing his son to go out of the country without him.
Mm-hmm. And then Grace and Jack are talking at lunch about their deceased dads, and then Lauren overhears and is like, hey, like, my mom died, I get it. And so they kind of chat and bond over their dead parents. And then I said, Amy hears Ben says he has to take her.
Yeah.
And then she freaks out. And then Betty brings Ben his lunch, and Grace sees Betty and they wave. And then Ben tells Amy about George because Amy says Betty's a hooker.
More of the hooker talk.
Yeah. And then we flash forward to the end of the day at home, and Amy calls Ashley. It tells her to come over and don't tell George. And she asks Ashley about the vasectomy, and Ashley covers up for her dad and says, no, he got his vasectomy. And then at the beginning of this episode, Grace was mad because Tom got Marshall their dad's robe. And then at this point, Grace also finds out that Jack is having Marshall's sports coat. And Jack tells Grace, like, well, your dad meant a lot to me, so it means a lot to me to get this. And then Betty calls Tom to cover her bases to make sure that Ben doesn't find out about her previous occupation.
I must have not paid attention to episode 5 at all because I don't know any of this.
Yeah, and then we get to the butcher's shop, and Ricky asks, what's their boss's name?
Bunny.
What?
Bunny.
Oh, Ricky asks Bunny for permission to talk to Leo about asking for more hours because he wants to save up to get his own place. And so she says, sure, you're a good guy. So Ricky talks to Leo and is like, hey.
See, these are my notes for episode 6.
Yeah. Well, it's the end of episode 5. And so Ricky talks to Leo about all of this and says, can I get some more hours? And if you can't give me more hours, I'm going to get a second job. And Leo's like, I've got something better for you. Shows him the upstairs of the butcher. Shows him the upstairs of the butcher shop. And it's an apartment, and says that you can have the apartment. You just have to pay for utilities.
He didn't even say you have to cover the full cost of utilities. He just said pitch in towards utilities.
And
so that could be like $20 a month.
Yeah, and so he calls Adrian, and she's starting to spin out because he doesn't want her to come see the place right away. And so she's spinning out that Ricky is going to have all this alone time with John and Amy. And then
you see at the beginning of
the episode with David and Anne at the office talking about a house that they're working on.
Need to stop that. Whatever you're doing with metal.
Okay, I broke my top. And then David asks Anne to move in with him at this house that they're designing. And then the episode ends. There you go. Let's see episode 5.
Okay, well, I did have a comment, but I don't remember.
What is your comment?
Was at the beginning of this season, I was like, man, Adrian has really had a lot of growth. She might be my favorite character on this show, but then towards these last 2 episodes, it's like, oh,
nope.
1 step forward, 150 steps backwards.
Yep.
So annoying.
Now we're at episode 6. Yay!
It's like you're trying to end this or something.
Oh my god, we're at almost 2 hours. And I really have to pee.
We're at an hour and a half.
Yeah, but there's 35 minutes from the first half.
Okay, but yeah, that's what I already added. We're at exactly 1 hour right now.
That's already added? That we started over?
We're at 1 hour for this one, and our other one is 30 minutes. So we're at an hour and a half total.
And we still have to talk about episode 6 and still banter at the end.
Well, we don't need to banter at the end because we've been bantering the whole time.
They're truly going to realize that we're sisters after this episode.
Season 2, episode 6, The Summer of Our Discontent. Amy discovers her summer is going to be filled with working and school. Wow, spoiler alert, guys.
So the beginning of this episode starts with the Dead Parents Club.
Okay.
So Ben, Lauren, and Jack all basically set Grace up to have this dead parents. Oh, you're such a gem. I love you. Nick brought me a bag of chocolate.
Where's mine, Nick?
Your husband's making you lemon fizzes.
He made me one lemon fizz.
Okay. So they set Grace up to have this little club so she doesn't feel alone because Jack's going to football camp. But actually, Lauren's going to be home for the summer. But Ben's going to Bologna, so they really just set her up to have Lauren.
Lauren's not home.
Oh, wait. Well, she did mention
Madison's going on vacation with Lauren this summer.
Oh. Well,
that gets mentioned
whatever.
later on. She's like,
yeah.
You didn't tell her you're going on vacation with me this summer? She's like, no.
Well, yeah, so at first she mentions that I'll be home.
Yeah, but
during
she's
the
not
club.
really going to be home.
Well, that wasn't said. And then they're all talking about summers, and Amy is mad that she has to work and can't go to Bologna. And then they're talking about, and then we get back to Grace and Jack. And they're talking about football camp. And Jack's like, well, you're going to go to cheerleading camp, aren't you? And she's like, no, I'm quitting cheerleading. I'm going to stay home with my family because, we lost our dad.
Yeah.
And then Ben now knows that Betty's a hooker.
Everybody knows that. It's been mentioned all season.
Well, because he talks to his dad.
Yeah, it's confirmed now.
Yeah, he wants to protect his dad, but his dad's
his dad already knew.
Yeah, but he's like, thanks for trying to protect me for something I already knew. And then Amy gets called to the counselor's office to talk about her grades. And it turns out, having a baby kind of puts a damper on things. She has
missing 2 months of school or something.
Yeah, she has 3 incomplete classes and has to take summer school.
But only half days.
Yeah. And then we flash forward to George, and George is served divorce papers on the road while he's riding his motorcycle.
Yeah, because he flirts with I don't remember what they're called.
The
servers.
Yeah. So
and
he
then
gets
she's like,
sad about that.
George Jerkins. He's like, oh yeah, how do I know you? You've been served, baby.
Bye.
And then he clogs up traffic.
And then Amy decides that she's just going to say goodbye to Ben at school. So they have an awkward goodbye. And then Amy's been pissed about the fact that a picture of her pregnancy in the yearbook. So she takes Ben's yearbook and rips the picture out all dramatically.
It was really unflattering. I really don't know how it would have passed.
Yeah. I was going to ask, because you had someone that was pregnant in your grade. Did, pregnant pictures of her get added to the yearbook?
No.
Exactly.
No, and because she gave birth, towards the very end of our year.
Yeah.
And she wanted to come in, on, the last week of school and bring her baby in, but the teachers wouldn't let her because it was going to set a bad example.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Because everyone's going to be like, oh, baby, so cute.
Uh-huh.
So we have Amy has a breakdown in front of Ricky because she has to take summer classes. She has to work. She hates then he goes end that picture of you in the yearbook. Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah.
And then...
Yep, that's right, Ricky. Just another thing.
Ricky gives her some real talk. And he's basically but we have John...
yes, no matter how bad stuff gets, we've always got John.
That's what I'm saying. He's sliding his way in. And then we get Grace's called to the counselor's office, and it turns out
she thinks she's going to have summer school.
Yeah.
She's I only missed a week.
Yeah. But it turns out her dad was thinking about her and applied to this young healers camp for gifted high school students that have an interest in going into the medical field.
Pre-med.
Yeah. And she got in, and also Madison's brother got in. Little foreshadowing. And Yeah. So, but she's like, I don't know if I'm going to go. Like, I want to stay at home with Tom and my mom. And then we go over to David and Anne's place of work, and Anne thinks that they have a meeting, but it turns out David is a jackass and sets her up to meet his parents without telling her. And there's that. And then we get Ben visits the school counselor, and the counselor's packing up the box. So he's got a baby now, and it turns out being a school counselor doesn't pay shit, especially when you're bad at it.
Well, we got to make room for the chick from Seventh Heaven to come in and be the counselor.
Oh, yeah, Beverly Jo Mitchell.
Yeah.
Seventh Heaven. Okay. Then we get Adrian's a fucking psychopath.
Adrian jealous of a baby? Because that's my last note.
She sneaks into Ricky's apartment. And because he told her at school, like, hey, I want my first night to be with my son. Yeah. Fucking makes sense.
Reasonable.
And so she's jealous, and she sneaks
jealous of a baby.
And he's like, get the fuck out. I have to go to work and pick up my son. And so she's mad that Ricky's spending his first night alone with John. And then Adrian decides to go to George Jurgen's house and be like, yo, you selling your house? Because I know the baby's yours.
Yeah.
And then we have Ashley tells George she needs to tell Anne because people know. And
because it's also the right thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. And then I have Adrian has dinner with her parents, and they have a little fucking family fun time moment. And then
they say they'll look into the house.
Yeah, and then we have Ricky gets to Amy's house to pick up John, but John is sleeping. And Amy has another breakdown about how she's so tired. So Ricky's like, hey, you go sleep, and I'll stay here until John wakes up to take him to my apartment. But that's not how things go.
No, because Ricky falls asleep too.
Yeah. And then, but then we have Betty talks to Ben, being like, hey, I know I'm a hooker. I was a hooker, but I love your dad.
And the most important thing, and she also says the most important thing that you can have in a relationship is honesty. You have to be honest with the ones you love. Otherwise, their love back towards you won't be honest.
And also your condoms are expired.
Yes. And some are no longer... some of the brands are no longer made for safety reasons.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
And then we have Jack goes to talk to Grace, and she tells him about doctor camp and that tonight's their last night together. And then and then we have George does go talk to Anne. But
he never lets out the truth.
Because Anne tells him that she's marrying David.
Yeah, but if he just needed to say it, god damn it.
Yeah, and then we get Ben comes to say goodbye to Amy in person. But Ricky's there. He spent the night. He's holding their baby. They look like a cute family. And then Ben goes to Bologna, the country, state, whatever it is, of blowjobs. Yes.
Under the impression that his woman is cheating on him. His Amy.
Amy. My precious Amy.
How could she? What a
She's
slut.
Mine. I own her.
Did anything else happen?
No.
Okay. Because my notes ended a while ago, so I don't remember.
Yeah, it was just a lot, and it could have been 2 episodes. And I just wanted to shake some people.
Everybody?
Yeah.
Anyways.
Oh, well.
Did you do anything exciting in your 2 weeks?
Well, I went to the George Floyd Vigil, and that was a moment. It was nice seeing it in the daytime and realizing that, not everyone is bad and trying to burn the city down, and like the people that are trying to make a change were there, and it was peaceful. But otherwise, not much. I mean, got tested for COVID, negative. It was a throat swab.
Yes, that's how they're doing it now.
Yeah, but I was told, like, you're negative, but, like, presume, like, just don't go outside still because it could be positive. There's a lot of false negatives, which I was like, I work from home. I work from home anyways.
You did go out to eat after that test.
I did. Well, I was already got my negative results by then.
But you said presume positive because there are a lot of false negatives.
It said
that's
that,
what you said.
My wording was bad. The test said you're negative, but keep an eye out on your symptoms. My fever was gone for 24 hours. By that point, we did wear masks, 6 feet apart. It was an adventure. It was good to get out of the house, put clothes on, put makeup on. Otherwise, no, I've been very lazy. I watched 13 Reasons Why.
Yes, I watched all that too. Have you set up your HBO Max yet?
Why do I need HBO Max? I get free HBO.
It's the new thing, though. It's HBO's new thing, and it has more than just what's on HBO. Like, it has a whole bunch of other more content. Yeah, you should download that app on your TV and sign up because there's and there are like HBO Max exclusives. Like, there's a show with Anna Kendrick on it, and they're partnered with all these other different services.
I wanted to watch that show.
Yeah, so you just have to like log in with your TV subscriber info. But there's also a really good movie on there that is like HBO exclusive called Ready or Not. And it's really good. You have to watch it. It's like a black comedy horror film. It has what's his face who played Seth Cohen on the OC?
Adam Brody.
Yeah, and Samara Weaving. And it's like really funny and really good.
I did watch Lady Bird for the first time yesterday. I don't know why I never watched it.
I don't know why you never watched it either. Well, probably because it wasn't on anything for you. Oh, it was on Amazon Prime.
And we get free movies basically, so it's always showed up.
Yeah.
Plus, we also like can rent movies for like $1.
Yeah, I watched it years ago.
Yeah, but it's on Netflix now, and so I watched it, and it was good. I like Beanie Feldstein a lot.
Yeah, she's funny.
I always forget that she is
Seth Rogen's
Jonah
Hill. Whatever. The same person.
I was about to say Seth Rogen too, though. Jonah Hill's sister and Ben Platt's best friend. So that was good. I hated Timothy Chalamet, whatever.
You were talking about that, and I was like, I don't even like remember him in the movie.
He they give glimpses of him, and he's going to be the future love interest, but it was like right after 9/11 happened. He's so obsessed with he thinks cell phones are tracking devices. Your FaceTime just dropped again.
No, I'm still here. I'm just only seeing myself.
Oh, did my FaceTime drop?
Or maybe I did end you. Oh, whatever.
But then, and then she thinks that he's a virgin, and then they have sex, but she loses her virginity while on top. And she thought that he was a virgin, and he's like, I'm not a virgin. And then, remember, she becomes popular, but then she breaks up with him after the virgin thing. And then they go to prom, and then he doesn't really go to prom.
Yeah, when did that movie come out? Because 2017, so I probably watched it 3 years ago. I don't remember.
Wasn't it nominated for a lot of things? It was nominated for an Oscar or an Academy Award or something.
I don't know. Let's find out. I'm Googling.
Because it was one of those big movies then.
No, I know. It was a big thing.
Yeah.
I have no...
Who's the mom in it?
Oh, what's her face?
Yeah, what's she from?
Laurie Metcalf.
Yeah, what's
she's
from?
been in everything. She's in Roseanne. She's in Toy Story.
Roseanne. I know her from Roseanne.
2. She's in The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, she's the sister in Roseanne. That's how I knew her. And it was just, her mom just really cared about it.
Housewives.
Oh, yes. That's one show I want to rewatch.
I rewatched that like last year. Have you ever watched the show Greek?
Oh, yeah, of course. That's who the teacher's from.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to say maybe that could be our next show we binge, because I literally haven't watched it since it was on TV, so I like barely remember it at all.
You
but
watched it on
Hulu.
TV? I've watched it
like not like on a TV, but I'd watch it on Hulu when it was on TV.
I've watched it like 2 or 3 times, and it's one of those shows that got canceled too early. Like there was no resolution.
3 or 4 seasons, and I remember I started watching it when I was a sophomore in college, back when Hulu was free again.
Yeah, I think I definitely watched it when I had started college, because I think Hulu was free for like students or something.
Well, no, it was just free for me.
No, but like during my time, I think it was like free if you had a student email, or it was like $2 a month or something.
Yeah, probably.
Because I definitely didn't have like a working checking account then. And
you didn't sign up for the St. Cloud State free student checking?
I did, but remember, I always like went overdrawn. Well, I did have a checking account because I did do my tuition, but my accounts were never positive. But I think at that time I got my life figured out because I actually was working, but kind of figured out. I
feel like you just got your life figured out like 2 years ago.
That's true. I really did. Truly did. I'm gonna go eat dinner. It's been lovely.
Sure it has.
Okay, bye!